my biddies. How are you? I'm not great. I really do think I'm getting sick, or I've gotten sick. I am like drugged up to the nines right now. Ibuprofen, decongestant. Yeah, that's me to the nines. I think I might have a fever. The reason I think I might have fever is weird because normally when I get up or when I wake up in the middle of the night, I turn over, which my mother-in-law says is a very good thing because apparently if you sleep on one side of your face, um, that side gets more wrinkled. So sleep on both sides of your face. But normally, by the time I go to the bathroom and come back, I forget what side I was sleeping on a lot of the times. So I'll go like this, and like the cooler side will obviously be the one that I wasn't sleeping on. So I'll lay on that side. I did that last night, and they were both the same. That makes me think I have a fever because usually when I have a fever, that happens. You can't tell because they're both hot. Girl, joy. Anyway, I have a naggy headache. I took ibuprofen, it's still naggy. I woke up with this, it feels like it's the same, to be honest. Oh, so I will go as long as I can, guys. No promises today. If I don't get through everything, I will slip it into next week's show somehow. So, if you watched yesterday's show, you'll know that somebody mentioned a Boru update thing, or Boru. Uh, see, I can't even think. Post that looked interesting. So um, we're gonna read that one top off the top because it sounded interesting and I want to read it. It's my show and I get to do what I want. So we're gonna start off with that. Oh, we have to medal count for the Olympics. Aren't you glad that Olympics are only a couple weeks? We are still in third. We have 14 medals so far, 4 gold, 7 silver, and 3 bronze. Norway and Italy are tied at 18, but Norway has 8 golds and 6, and Italy has 6 golds. See, this is how it's going to be today. Sorry. It's not going to be a good show. Sorry. But I can't fail you, can I? We're here to build a community, so I can't fail. So yeah, we did get bronze medal in luge. We got a silver in the ice dance, which was BS. Like, I know ice dance, and gold medal winners screwed up twice. Twice. It's ridiculous. So somebody's cheating. There's always got to be a cheating scandal in that figure skating. Like, always got to be something going on. It is the most, well, we're one of the most controversial sports there is. They've tried so many times to get it to work. Like, why are you cheating? You know you're cheating. Stop it. Stop it. And honestly, they need, I guess, in light of this, they need to to take more points away from people that mess up in the ice dancing. Yeah, they're beautiful, but they also messed up, and the other couple was as beautiful. I personally like that one better, but that's just me. That is opinion. But this judge had them 8 points different. 8 points. It's ridiculous. In the technical. And the one she put ahead made mistakes. How does that even happen? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm a longtime skating fan, I know. I've seen lots of controversies play out on that. But it's also subjective and all of that. So, but there's other sports that have subjective um, judging, and they don't have these. They don't have a controversy nearly every Olympics like skating does. Like honestly, a big change would be to not let the top like five. If you have um if you have a skater in your country that's in the top five, that judge shouldn't even be on there. Shouldn't even be there. And people say, well, that they're not experienced enough. Well, then they'd get some experience now, wouldn't they? I don't see why that's an issue, but that's just me. Like I said, that's just me. Anyways, so this best of Redditor update is entitled "The Saga of an Average Guy Who Spontaneously Decides to Try Heroin Once, Only to Struggle with Addiction for Multiple Years." So maybe don't try heroin, guys. The original comment, what is it in? I don't know what that means. Hold on. IMA. Maybe it's Ask Me Anything, but it says IMA. Okay, anyway, it was originally an IMA. I don't know what that I'm not familiar with that subreddit. I might have to look into it. So the original title was "I did heroin yesterday. I'm not a drug user, and I've never done anything besides black pot, anything besides pot back when I was a teen, AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. This is a little long. I've never been a drug user. I drink once in a while, smoked pot years ago, back when I was a teen in high school a few times. I'm 24 now and I have a master's and a well-paying full-time job. Yesterday, I was walking through Washington Square Park, where I pass every day, and there are always these people there looking to sell drugs. Not in the park anymore due to cameras, but it's well known you can meet a dealer, then do a transaction somewhere these days. They don't usually solicit drugs to you unless you stop and stand around near one of them for some reason or look like you're looking for something. Yesterday, I happened to stop by a row of benches to check some messages on my phone when a dealer on the bench to my right asked me if I need anything. My life has been pretty boring the last few years, and I feel like I haven't really lived, taken any rests, or done anything crazy, so I figure, what the hell, maybe I'll buy some pot. It's been a while. I said yeah, and after asking several times if I'm a cop, he gives me his number and tells me to meet him at the fast food place several blocks away, and he will hook me up. This is how easy it is to get drugs, apparently. I say all right, nervously check and make sure I have cash on, and go to meet this shady looking dude. We sit down and after hounding me, asking me if I'm a cop, he asks what I need. I tell him just a dime bag, and he says, "Nah, man, I only sell hot fences. You'll have to take that, and I've got some Coke and H." At this point, I didn't want to buy half an ounce of pot. I probably never smoked more than an eighth in my life. But then I started considering his last word, heroin. I've heard so much about it and how crazy addictive it is and seen it in the movies and TV, and I'm thinking The Wire here, one of my favorite shows. And it really started to intrigue me, and I've always wondered what it would be like to do heroin. What? I've never wondered what it's like to do heroin. Ever. I don't want to. I don't want to know. Out of nowhere, I say, "I'll take the H," and we do the deal there. I give him the cash under the table. He slides me an order of fries with a little stamped wax baggie in it, and then he tells me to let him leave first. I put it in my pocket, then nervously race home, my heart racing, cannot believe what I just did. Yeah, I can't believe what you just did either. Moron. What an idiot. I held onto that bag in my pockets, palm sweating the whole ride home. And then he's going to do it by himself, which is also very dangerous. You should not do that. When I got home, I opened the bag and dumped some golden flakes and powder in my glass coffee table. At this point, I didn't even know what to do. I know you can snort heroin, but it looked all flaky. So I try to remember how they did it in the movies, but they always seem to inject it in film. So I started Googling how to snort heroin. That's a good thing to have on your search, um, on your computer search list, search history. Like an idiot, and do a little research on the stuff and how much to take. I used a card to get it into a fine powder and moved a small bump to the side, which I inhaled through a dollar bill. I didn't feel anything yet, so I snorted a small line, which was essentially half the bag. There was very little inside. I waited in a few minutes. I had the most pleasurable feeling of pure relaxation and bliss wash over me. I just sat there and everything felt amazing. I nodded off and it was great. I had the TV on, but I wasn't paying attention. I must have sat around for 4 hours doing nothing but feeling total pleasure. It was like a full body orgasm times 10 that kept going on and on. When I would nod off, I felt like I was in pure conscious lucid dream state. Sometimes it felt like I was leaving my body. At this point, I did the rest of it and stayed up all night. I must have been high for 10 hours straight. I might have slept at one point. It's hard to tell the difference when you nod off and everything feels good regardless. Just the feeling of being under a blanket was amazing. I was blown away by the power of this drug and how orgasmic it felt. I never understood why people did drugs before and got so hooked on them, but now I see why. I have the urge to do it again, but I will resist and not do it, at least not for a long time. I understand the addiction potential and how someone could easily tear apart their lives with this stuff. Heroin is pure powdered pleasure. I actually feel proud of myself having the balls to do something this crazy, and I feel like it was a valuable experience and my window to into another world and part of society. I will never forget the day I did heroin. Ask me anything. New edit. I have a lot of respect for most posters and drug addicts with experience here, but this editor addict is why people have negative stereotypes ty- types they do about junkies. Edit, please, no more comments. I'm going to be a homeless addict dying of overdose now. Don't lecture me with all your misconceptions and lack of real knowledge or experience about the drug. I understand if you know somebody who has been hurt by it. We all do. Any drug can ruin lives. Please ask questions instead of trying to lecture me and do some research before spewing lies. Update 2. I don't regret this at all. I see a lot of talk about how cocaine isn't as bad as heroin and people telling anyone to consider doing a hard drug, do coke instead, except coke can kill you the first time you use it. If I mean, you really need somebody experienced, and I'm not a drug user, but I would want somebody that had done drugs before to like tell me what to do, to guide you through it. That's why we have people that do that now. I've known and seen a lot of heavy coke users, many who have become addicted and OD'd, and I find it disturbing that people think coke is acceptable because some higher class circles might find it socially acceptable. I'm thinking the young Wall Street and college crowds here who associate it with money and being cool and is easily manageable for recreation, while society tells them that heroin is for the poor and destitute and leads to automatic addiction and suffering. So I plan to try cocaine the next time I get and compare the two in terms of effects and experience. Doing heroin was memorable and life-changing. Wow. I can't even. And I know I can handle anything once. I've done my research on coke and I know the risks, so if anyone have any questions or opinions that matter, feel free to chime in, whether it's to me, I'm a wanging idiot, or give me advice, whatever. This is an experiment and an adventure in life. I'll report back once I try it. Next update, September 27th, 2009. 2 weeks ago, I tried heroin once for fun, made an AMA. I've been using it since and shot up for the first time today. 2 weeks. 2 weeks and he's already shooting it up. Wednesday night update, wanging. I'm still withdrawing, throwing up, and sweating out gallons of sweat. I really want to use and relapse right now, and I know I shouldn't. These urges are so strong and overpowering. Please help me if you can before I get the chance to. 1000 comment update. Weighing my life, I wish I was trolling and this was all some elaborate lie. I was doing everything right. I had been clean and somehow a rumor got out that I've been using and my girlfriend found out and she basically broke up with me last night, but is now putting that decision on hold. I have some serious unrelated business work I need to attend to in 2 hours and I don't know if I'll be in any state to be able to and be ready. I can't stop crying. Weighing heroin, weighing my life, I guess. I don't need to say that since heroin pretty much winged my life for me in just under 2 weeks and I want to die. NA update. Went to, oh, Narcotics Anonymous. Went to NA. I shared my story and it seemed to hit a lot of people. I cried. I got a lot of support and numbers. I feel like I'm in a good place and I truly believe that I never have to use again. I will be going back. Update whatever. Number whatever. I slept for 30 hours, sweat out my entire body, and now I feel okay. I also used a crap for the first time in like a week, which was pretty awesome. So he hasn't defecated in a week because that stuff will bind you up. Narcotics like that, um, stuff you get from the doctor will. What's it called now? I can't remember. Ignore me. My brain is fuzzy today. I can't stop this on my own. I don't even think I need an A. Yes, you do. But I'm not ruling it out. I have no craving or desire to do heroin. Sure, you don't. I'm sure some of you will be quick to say I need real support, and maybe you're right. But right now, I think I'll be okay. New update. I appreciate all the genuine concern and advice. I finished my stash. Bad idea, but too late. Threw out the needles and am too faded to respond to comments for right now. When I sober up in a couple of hours, I'll check out some NA meetings. Edit. I nodded off after taking another hit at 4 a.m. and couldn't be bothered to look at this anymore and just woke up sore with a headache. For those who think I'm a troll because can do heroin and type well with good grammar, wang off. It's not that hard if you type slow and carefully without looking at the screen. The screen is a blur and too bright and is challenging, but I would rather post coherently than like an idiot. I know it's hard to believe someone dumb enough to do heroin is intelligent in other regards. Intelligence really doesn't have anything to do with drug addiction. It's just smart people do dumb things. Dumb people do dumb things. We all do dumb things. Comments disintegrated into my mindless bandwagon accusations of being a troll. I want to engage in a discussion, and I know I need help. My mind isn't exactly right. I'll sift through the posts and responses. The genuine ones, I feel better. This is some kind of update for people calling it fake. Is this proof enough of you? Do you want to see my track marks too? They're not pretty because this is under 24 hours after shooting up. I'm not proud of any of this and posted it here because I can't tell anyone in my life and I don't want to keep it to myself. I figured doing another IAMA would give me the opportunity to talk about my issues anonymously and help realize the extent of my problem through feedback. The a-holes saying this is all fake trolling can wang themselves. People can post about being prostitutes and all sorts of things that harm a large number of other people. Prostitution doesn't really harm other people, it harms the person being the prostitute mostly. But dismiss someone on the track to becoming an addict who needs help and just wants to talk and maybe help some other people forming a mistake. I appreciate the people giving legitimate advice and asking questions. I'm going to the next NA meeting. And then there's something else, and it says, I know a lot. There will be a lot of people telling me I told you so and urging me to seek help, and they are right. That's all good, and trust me, I know the danger I'm in of ruining my life, but let's keep this AMA first and foremost. Dude. I'll be checking an NA meeting this week. I know I'm on a fast track to becoming an addict. I think that ship has sailed, honey. And I want to stop before it gets out of control and I'm physically addicted. No one in my life can know about this, and I want to stop before it's too late. I've been using 2 to 3 day periods when taking a couple days off, then using again. The breaks were in part to try and not get hooked, and in part because I had an unreliable dealer who charged me more than double what I should be paying. Dude. I got ripped off several times when I tried to buy off the street. My former dealer is the guy I bought the first from. That's how I got you addicted, dude. Today I met a guy through internet channels who said he could get bundles, 10 small bags of heroin, for significantly less than half the price my old dealer gave me on his most fair deal. And how do you know he's not cutting that with fentanyl, dude? He also happened to be an IV user, has a stash of sealed needles and supplies, and offered to shoot me up. I had kind of hoped I would find someone who would, and he was a pro, finding my small hidden veins and injecting a bag in one shot. Oh my God. To quote Train Spotting, the best organ you've ever had multiplied by 1,000 and you're still nowhere near it. He gave me some new needles and tourniquets, and when I got home, I tried to do it myself. After not hitting a vein countless times, I got a red flag and was good to go. I've injected 5 bags since 4 p.m. The last one a little less than an hour ago. I'm tempted to do one more AMA. Forgive me if any delays if I nod off. He's lucky he's not dead. Jeez. October 10th, 2029. Edit. This one failed due to a-holes calling me a lying troll. I'll try again and post proof up front. October 25th, 2010. I am a patient in a psychiatric hospital. I was also technically dead last week. Ask me anything. I'm in one of the nation's finest hospitals and get internet access 30-minute intervals before having to restart my browsing session, which is kind of annoying along with the pesky web filter. I'll be grateful if anyone can help me get around it. All proxies I have are blocked. This guy's just like a criminal? A criminal in waiting. Like if he's in finance, he'll try to get around something in finance. He's just a criminal. He's got a criminal mindset. If you're reading this and know me, you probably already know who I am. Edit. I can't believe this has been over a year since I discovered heroin and the AMA's on here after first trying it several months later. Time flies when you're an addict. So that was October 10th, 2029. October 27th, 2010. And he titled it, I am a heroin opioid multi-substance addict with bipolar disorder headed to rehab tomorrow because I didn't listen to Reddit. I OD'd 1 week ago and I'm in a psych hospital. AMA. New AMA. Tomorrow I leave the psychiatric unit to go to a substance abuse unit for a couple of weeks before headed to long-term residential rehab. I was technically dead from fentanyl overdose last week and I was revived with multiple shots of Narcan. If I was found 10 minutes later, I would have been dead for good, according to EMS. Reddit warned me I would become an addict when I did an AMA a little over a year ago after first trying heroin. Needless to say, I didn't listen and I'm paying the consequences. Whether or not it would have made a difference is questionable considering my personality. A staggering number of bipolar people become addicts. That's probably true because they're trying to self-medicate. This is my third extremely close encounter with deaths from drugs in the last year. I've done more than you probably know exist. This is my third chance at life, and I don't know if I will get any more AMA. Edit, I get transferred to the rehab unit in like an hour, which is open door and has a lot of freedom and is even nicer than this unit. Yay. January 2017. So this is 6 years later. Spontaneous heroin. 7 years later. Update for anyone who stumbles on this account in the future. I don't know if anyone here remembers me, but you can look through my submission history and get an idea. It's not pretty, and I will take you through a journey of my first time trying heroin to my life quickly falling apart. So take that as a warning. It's graphic. I was totally out of my mind, and you may not want to read depending on where you're at. This is the first time I've logged into this account in a couple of years, and I had a bunch of PMs, and people occasionally mention this account in various places on Reddit, so I'll post an update here for anyone who stumbles on this in the future. I'm now almost 6 years clean from all drugs and alcohol, and life is good. Oh, that's good. It's too difficult to me to go back and even read what I originally wrote 7 years ago. Maybe one day I will be able to. I don't even remember what I said in my first post, but I know I can look back objectively and say that things probably weren't as good or normal before I tried the cocaine as I tried to make it seem in that first post. There were certainly warning signs before that with alcohol, weed, and other things. I had issues with substances, although probably couldn't admit to myself at the time. I would never try things if things were truly going well for me. What followed in the later posts was where it took me was very hard. Thanks for everyone who has reached out over the years. Hope everyone is able to find recovery they need. And then the last one is from September 25th, 2021. It's been a while. This is not an AMA or anything exciting, really. I saw a disturbing sad post about an opiate OD in public freakout and was reminded to log in and check this. I guess it has been over 3 years since I've checked this or posted anything. I find this Reddit account pretty overwhelming. I'm just posting, letting people know I'm alive, clean, and doing well. Thanks to everyone who has reached out in messages checking over the past few years. Sorry if I can't get back to you. Hopefully he will stay on his medications for his bipolar and not start and not go off them and start self-medicating again. Because this is probably mostly due to the bipolar, because they tend to try and self-medicate because it makes them feel better when they're, especially when they're in a depression cycle. That's crazy. Well, I'm glad he's doing well. I hope he continues to do well. That was 2021, so it's been almost, well, 4.5 years anyway. I hope he continues to do well. And don't do drugs. None of you. None of y'all. Don't do any. Don't take any drugs unless they're over the counter and you can buy them in a store or they're prescribed by your doctor. Okay, next we have malicious compliance, and it's entitled Texas A&M bans philosophy department from teaching Plato. Professor gets creative. Text of the letter to text of the letter the professor sent to admin below. Malicious compliance at its best, at the best compliance. Dr. Sweet, as you may have noticed, I believe it's important to document the philosophy professors at Texas A&M University are not permitted to teach Plato at their own discretion, which is insane. He's one of the very first philosophers ever, and they can't teach about him. It's literally crazy. To comply with the new censorship requirements, I have replaced affected module with lectures on free speech and academic freedom. The censored material is marked in red in the attached document. The required text for the module is Texas A&M under new curriculum limits warns professor not to teach Plato, the New York Times, blah, 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 blah. And then he's got a link to the Times. Respectfully, Martin Peterson, Sue G. and Harry B. Bove Jr. Chair, Department of Philosophy, Texas A&M. It's insane. It's insane. Mr. Spiffheimer says, since I can't teach the students about star-bellied sneetches, I'll teach them about why I can't teach them about star-bellied sneetches instead. I love it. Pacific Squash is, I'm guessing way more students will actually read Plato now than if it had stayed on the syllabus, probably. Hey, you guys, says, my students were pestering me to teach from the Bible instead of evolution. I refused. I don't teach the Bible for the same reason you don't dissect worms in church. They told me, teach the controversy. I said, that's what this class is for, and did not entertain further discussion. However, I believe teaching this controversy is something Texas A&M philosophy professors could do. Yes. If you're in a science class, you should not be teaching philosophy anyway. Or teaching about controversies. It's not controversial. Silly kids. Overall Link says, what's the issue with Plato? I would like to know. Chipley Man says, probably Aristophanes' comedic speech in the symposium describing original humans as creatures with two faces, 4 arms, and 4 legs, split by Zeus into 2 halves, male, female, androgynous, out of fear, leading to the human quest for their other half or soulmate. I don't see what the problem is with that. Other bangers by Aristophanes. Gives praise to confidence, courage, and manliness of homosexuals, claims only homosexuals prove to be real men in politics. You go, Pete Buttigieg. This is the Vancouver house during foggy weather. I find it imposingly menacing. I got a thing to show you guys too. Oops. That's pretty cool looking. Looks like it just keeps going forever. This popped up on my screensaver today. That's not what I wanted. Um, no. No. This. This looks. This is the Waji District, Shanghai, China. That also looks evil. Does it not? That looks like an evil building to me. I think it might be more evil than the evil building in Vancouver. Character, okay, says, I love the building, but kind of terrifying in the fog. Oh, the OP took it. The OP took the picture. That's awesome. It's a good picture. Uh-oh. AITAH. It's entitled AITAH for evicting my deceased brother's fiance, but it's an update. Oh, no, it's not. The update's just okay. It starts with the second paragraph and the updates in the first paragraph. I hate it when they do that. Okay. My brother passed away recently and he had a live-in partner fiance. Both my parents have passed, and so did my sister, so that leaves me as his next of kin. The house my brother lived in was my grandparents' house. He purchased it in 2021 after they passed away. We grew up in that house and I have a massive connection to that home. It's the only thing I have left of my family and I'm the only one left. Since I'm the next of kin, I inherited the house. I offered his partner, let's say his name is Steve, that he could continue to live there if he paid the mortgage and property taxes. That's a good way to give away a house. Someone's paying the mortgage and the property taxes, that's no longer your home after a certain period of time. Um, you should pay that and have them pay rent. Similar to renting. No, it's not. That's a completely different thing. Steve said he couldn't afford it and asked for me to sell instead. He requested information on the kind of profits he would be receiving and inheriting from the house. Sir, I hate to tell you this, but you are not married. I told him if he wasn't living there, I inherited the house. I won't be selling it and he won't be inheriting any money from it. He demanded that I sell and said that he would take me to court over inheritance. Good luck, buddy. I pleaded to his sensibilities that this was my family home and he was my only connection to my brother left and he refused. So I offered to pay for an apartment for him for a year since I'm also my brother's named life insurance beneficiary. Steve was not in the will. Steve gets nothing. Steve demanded everything, including the life insurance, despite my telling him I'm named. I told him he wasn't getting anything and needed to leave my family house after he threatened to take me to court the second time. He refused, so I filed for eviction, AITAH. I was also told to add to my post, Steve and my brother were together for 6 years, engaged for 2 prior to his death. She got married. My brother and I had talked a few minutes before his death about how sure they were engaged, but he was probably never going to get married. Not sure if this was due to the new administration and concerns about same-sex marriage law may change or if their relationship was rocky. 1 year prior to my brother's death, he got a new job, named me as his life insurance beneficiary. After they were already engaged, common law does not exist in my state. It doesn't matter anyway. And Steve never paid into the house at all. My brother paid all of their bills. I paid the mortgage on my family home for the last year and just recently talked to Steve after the estate went through probate. I cannot afford to pay both mortgages regularly. Of course not. Update. After everyone's speculation on their relationship and the potential issues, I raised a red flag to me. So I have had a conversation last night with my brother's best friend, Anna. I told her what was going on and for some insight, and immediately she told me not to give him anything. She said she would testify if necessary, but that Steve and my brother were having major problems. My brother tried working out for the last year of his life, trying to see the relationship through, but nothing was changing. Steve was using my brother at every turn. Well, yeah, if he hasn't paid it rent in how many years? About a week before he passed away, I gave him a month to pack up and leave. I hadn't talked to my brother since Christmas, a couple of weeks prior, so I had no idea. I will be discussing this with my attorney at this point. Good. You should be. Mrs. Sim says, NTA, if your brother wanted his partner to inherit his home or, excuse me, life insurance, he would have named him as the beneficiary. 100% true. Don't give Steve anything, proceed with the eviction, but make sure you're running everything past a lawyer. Let Steve take you to court if he wants. Next top comment is not important. And third one is from T. Kaiser. So make sure to get pictures of the current state of the house. It sounds like he's a wrecking ball. NTA. Joan the Unicorn says this is so important. OP needs to get there immediately and take pictures and videos of absolutely every corner of the house. Yeah, because people do hurt people do bad things sometimes, and they can get a little cray. This is from Found Satan. It's entitled Honestly, I Would Do That. And Lockwood Porter says, my best friend and I want to go to a Blink 182 concert in high school, but couldn't afford tickets, so we told everyone in our extremely Baptist Oklahoma town that God called us to spread the gospel and evil secular concert, but we needed donations to get in. We turned a profit. Yeah, that's not problem. That's not even satanic. Bunch of worse says, man, the religious people sure are gullible. Or May says, wow. Himalophile says something about a fool and their money. Grim says, a fool and their money, I'll soon be partying. Somebody says, the second top comment is, I thought about doing something similar, but can never bring myself to pull the trigger and actually lie to those around me. There are so many places that would help me if I just admit I believed in their God and pray with them. They always cast me out when I refuse on faith alone and ask too many questions they don't have answers to. Yeah. Silent says, I find it not believing get you stuff from everyone trying to be one to win you over. At the end of the day, it only made matters even more conflicting. Show me such a strong kindness, but yet considered the others fake. The mosque I went to was the most interesting. They separated males and females. They told me not to worry. We had a huge monitor so we can spy on them at all times. Yeah, definitely. Return to that one. Oh my. And we have Just No Mill. Mill sent me a post about managing it all with a smile. Gag me. Moments after I finally negotiated a 1 hour break with my husband. Need a sanity check or maybe some really petty comeback ideas. For context, I'm a stay-at-home mom to a baby. My days are an endless loop of cleaning bottles, loading and unloading the dishwasher, laundry, cat care, and keeping a human alive. I've been feeling overwhelmed lately, so my husband and I sat down and finally made solid agreement. Sounds like you might have some PPD going on there, because you shouldn't feel that overwhelmed, even with a baby. Even with a baby, you shouldn't feel that overwhelmed unless you have something else going on. When he gets home from work, he gets time to decompress, but after that, he takes the baby, and I get 1 hour to do whatever I want. No chores, no baby, just me time. That's a good idea. It's good. I feel like a huge win. We just agreed to this. Not even 24 hours later, my mother-in-law sends me a post meme. It was nauseating advice on how a mother should manage time, the household, children, and her own fatigue with a smile. Gag me. The timing feels too specific to be coincidence, but even if it is, I'm seeing red. I finally established that I can't do it all with a smile and I need support. And she sends me this. I'm usually polite, but I want to be mean for once. I want to reply with something that wipes a virtual smile off the conversation. Reddit, what's the best reply that gets her point across that her advice is unwelcome trash? Tender Our Ghost says, I remember my mother-in-law complaining about my Boppy pillow that I used often nursing my daughter. She remarked, I didn't need a pillow to feed my babies. I didn't either, but I'm not going to diss somebody for wanting one. It's dumb. I just had a emergency C-section 2 weeks prior, so yes, the pillow was necessary for my comfort. Man, I can see that. Emergency C-sections are even worse than regular C-sections. I feel like some of it stems from jealousy and envy. They probably didn't have the attentive husbands or extra supplies to navigate these early months and they feel slighted in some way. Yeah, and that's like uh, people with PhDs um, being mean to their students because they're jealous. And it's silly. Oh, I had to go through this, so you do too. It's dumb. Just because you had to go through something, don't don't nobody else has to. You could be nicer. You can be kinder. Okay, Bandicoot says you had to negotiate for 1 hour break with your husband, 1 hour and 24-hour period. That's it. Clearly, your husband has a problem with you having any time to yourself and has mentioned this to his mother. Like son, I guess. That is a possibility. It's possible that the husband um said something to his mother about it, and that's why she sent that. It's dumb. Everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. Maybe she's not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. That's fine. Not everybody's cut out for that because that's hard work. Competitive metal said, ignore it. That'll drive her the most crazy. That's probably the best idea is just ignore it. Ignore her. But yeah, when you're a stay-at-home mom, you don't get breaks. You do it all. And you're on 24/7. That's why I started a mom's club when my oldest was 2. It saved my sanity, and I made good lifelong friends from it. Next, we have Petty Revenge and is entitled, My Law Partner Wanted to Shame Me for My Messy Desk. I used to be a partner at a law firm around 10 years ago. One of my partners, who I'll refer to as Chad, decided that he didn't like my messy desk. I had lots of copies of documents on my desk in uneven piles. Chad would openly make snide remarks in partner meetings at firm events like the holiday party. Chad, get your nose out of other people's business. I'd always respond with a smile and quote Einstein, if a cluttered desk is the sign of a cluttered mind, then is an empty desk a sign of? Not getting the results he wanted, Chad finally decided to try something new to shame me. The attorneys had their own offices around the inside of wall of the building. Each office had a long window next to the door that looked into the hallways and cubicles in the building. If you were outside of the office, then you could see into the office. The long windows had shades, and the shades could only be opened from the inside of the offices. I, along with other attorneys, always kept them closed so no one could see in. One day I arrived at work and found that my shades had been open. No biggie, though. I simply closed them and went on about my day. To my surprise, when I arrived the next morning, the shades were again open on the next day. Somebody's going in your office without permission. Breaking and entering? Anyone looking had a clear view of my messy desk. Over the course of around 2 weeks, this pattern continued. When I left work, my shades would be shut, and then they would be open when I arrived in the morning. I figured perhaps the cleaning crew was opening my shades, so I started paying attention to the other offices. Numerous other offices always kept their shades closed, and they were still closed when I checked them in the morning. Chad usually got to work very early, so it was pretty obvious that Chad was opening my shades. Given that we were both professional people and partners in a law firm, I decided that I should go have a reasonable chat with Chad. Just jokes. I decided that petty revenge was the best option. Before I started even working at the firm had taken a trip to a local lake together. I found photos of this trip, and one of the photos featured Chad wearing a backwards ball cap, flexing for the camera next to one of the female employees. Chad had skinny arms and almost no biceps, and I believe he was just being silly when he flexed. He still looked like a dork and not respectable law partner who commands respect. So I blew up the photo to A4 size. I'm not quite sure how big that is, and made multiple color copies. Then I wrote on the back of the photo, please do not open my blinds. I prefer to keep them closed. Also, if you remove this photo, I will put up another as I have made multiple copies. Before I left work, I taped the photo at eye level onto my blind so that the side with the picture faced towards the closed blinds and the note faced outside my office. Whoever was opening my blinds would have to see the note. As long as the blinds were closed, no one would see the photo. If someone, gee, I wonder who, opened the blinds, and everyone would see Chad's dumb face and tiny flexed bicep. The next morning, I arrived for work feeling a little giddy with in a little anticipation. I walked into my office and found the blinds shut. I thought maybe Chad had tried his usual stunt. However, when I opened my office door, to my surprise, the note was gone. I looked on the floor, but no note. It was just a little tape left on my blinds, like somebody had ripped the photo off, but my blinds were still shut. I retaped the note to the photo on my blinds, and it was gone and again the next morning. However, my blinds remained shut. I decided not to put up another note, and no one touched my blinds again. Problem solved, and Chad is an idiot. In case anyone was wondering, although my desk was cluttered with paper, they were copies of documents. The files were complete, and I never lost a document on my desk. I knew it was on my desk and could easily find what I was looking for instead of going to the file each time I needed something. Mocha Latte says, why the hell would he care what your desk looked like in your closed office behind blinds anyway? Hopefully he learned his lesson about minding his own business. Because some people are just bullies from birth to death. Yep. Crazy Cat Lady said, I had a coworker who had an issue with my desk having papers on it. I was working. He kept getting upset that I had papers on my desk. I started putting everything in drawers and taking it out first thing in the morning. I was not productive at all, but the desk was clean. Yeah, I've worked at places where they require you to clean your desk every night, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, why? I guarantee you the cleaning floor is not dusting every day. They don't dust every day. Never in my life have I seen a place that dusts every day. Next is from Am I the Joke? AITJ for returning the birthday gifts my wife got me after I specifically said I didn't want them. My birthday was a couple of months ago, and my wife asked me what I wanted, so I gave her a list, stuff I actually needed and would use. Pretty easy. A few weeks before my birthday, she asked if I wanted an air fryer. I said no thanks. I had one years ago and barely touched it. It just took up the counter space, and I ended up giving it away. Well, that's a shame because you should have used it because they're awesome. I just used mine today, and I used it yesterday. And I think I might have used it the day before. I definitely used it on Monday. I told her I appreciate the thought, but really don't need another kitchen gadget collecting dust. Also, for context, my dad has given me the same brand of travel mug every Christmas for like 4 years straight. I have a drawer for them, full of them. I never use them. I even asked my wife to mention it to him because I felt weird saying something myself. Yeah, once you give somebody a travel mug, just you don't ever buy them one again. So my birthday comes, I open my gifts from her, and it's an air fryer and a travel mug. Same brand my dad keeps getting me. I just kind of sat there for a second and asked her if she remembered our conversation. She said, yeah, but she thought I'd changed my mind once I saw how nice these are. That's just rude. I told her I wanted the receipts so I could return them. She got upset saying I was ungrateful and that she put thought into it. No, you didn't, lady. No, you didn't. That's a lie. I said I literally told her I didn't want either of these things and she got them anyway. So I'm not sure what kind of reaction she expected. AIT Joe asking to return the guest. No. Lum agreed. Says NTJ sounds like she wanted an air fryer. Next time is from Equivalent Wear. NTJ, she literally did the opposite of what you asked. That's not putting thought into it. That's ignoring what you said and buying whatever she felt like getting you. Getting you the exact same travel mug your dad gets you is almost insulting at that point. It is. It's very insulting. And also, why didn't you get him something he wanted? Something he said he wanted. Man, if my husband told me something he wanted, I would get it for him. He's terrible to buy for. And he returns it if he doesn't want it, and that's fine. Next, we have entitled people, and it's entitled, my neighbor told me I'm stunting her children's development because I won't let them use my backyard as a shortcut to the park. Dude, come on. What are we doing here? I bought my first house about 6 months ago. It has a nice fenced backyard that happens to back up to a local wooded trail. At least a popular park. If you go around the block, it's a 10-minute walk. If you go through my yard, it's 30 seconds. Enter Linda. Linda lives 2 houses down and has 3 kids, all under 10. A few weeks after I moved in, I caught Linda and her kids unlatching my side gate and walking through my yard. No, you don't get to do that. Absolutely not. I went out and politely told her I prefer they didn't do that, citing liability and the fact that I have a dog who isn't always fond of strangers in his place. Linda's response, oh, the previous owners let us. It's just easier for the kids. Okay, that's the previous owners. I don't know you, lady. Stay out of my yard. I told her that I'm not the previous owners and to please use the sidewalk. Honestly, my yard gets used as a thoroughfare a lot. It's fine. I don't mind. I don't have anything. I don't have a dog and I don't have anything, but I can understand why you wouldn't want people in your yard. It's feels weird sometimes. I thought that that was the end of it, but yesterday I came home early and found our kids climbing over my fence, not even using the gate, climbing. I told them to get down and go home. 5 minutes later, Linda is at my front door, absolutely livid. She didn't apologize and said she screamed that I was being unneighborly and hostile toward children. No, your children are misbehaving, and so are you. She literally told me that by forcing them to walk the long way, I am stunting their development and robbing them of outdoor time. Are they not outdoors when they're walking? And a nice walk is good for a kid. She then demanded that I give her a copy to the key to my gate so she can supervise them properly while they use the shortcut. No, absolutely not. I told her that if I see her or her kids in my yard again, I'm calling the police for trespassing and I'll be installing cameras. She called me a bitter child hating hermit and stopped off. I mean, better than the lady that I my grandma was neighbors with that used to shoot us if we got in her yard. She'd literally get her gun out and shoot at us if we got anywhere we were in the literal road and she would shoot at us. My sister bought that house. Lived in it for a while. Now a couple of other neighbors who I think just don't want to deal with her are telling me I'm being too intense and that it's just a yard. No. They say I should let them keep using the neighborhood harmonious. Keep the neighborhood harmonious. No. AITA. I mean, I know this is entitled people, but I'm genuinely shocked that somebody thinks they have a right to my property because it's more convenient. David Davis Asian says, have them offer up their yard as access then. Yes, exactly. Suspicious Elk says, haha, yeah, tell her you've got yourself and 15 mates coming around soon for a barbecue, as it seems yards are mature for communal use. Specific Rando says, in my neighborhood growing up, we had a virtual highway of fence jumping. We all knew the yards to avoid, mostly the ones with mean dogs. So, as an authority on kids going through other people's yards, duh. Kids can go around. The mom is coddling them by not telling them to deal with it. Salisbury Witch says, my neighbor had a short wire fence for years. His kid used to jump my fence to avoid walking so far from his bus stop, and they would do anything. They wouldn't do anything. Last year, a no trespassing sign went up, and they cleared the back to start putting up a fence. I spoke to him. He said the kids are coming down my side yard, jumping the fence and going to the bowling land. Druggies that have hung out there for decades. He says the two kids, and I know where they live, cussed out his wife and made her fear for her safety. I think she's in her late 60s. They decided to put up the fence. Dumb and Dumber went to take their shortcut shortly after the fence was completed. They came out walking through my driveway while I was in the car looking at my husband's car like they were shopping. I got out and told them to stay out of my yard. They cussed me too, so I took their pictures and called the cops. The female cop acted like she thought I was racist. I'm not. I was working at an HBCU at the time for 20 years. If I was racist, I wouldn't have that job very long. She said she couldn't find them. I gave her their house number earlier before she showed up. They walked back down the street and I was taking groceries and one started yelling something about I need to respect them. I said, I'm in my yard, in my car, and they trespassed on my property. If you want to be respected, you respect me first. I ended up sending a registered letter to the house to the parents and told them their children trespassed on my side yard and backyard and down my driveway. They caused my neighbor to put up a $4,000 fence due to trespassing and threats to his wife. They threatened me. If they come in my yard again, I will call the police and I will give my backyard neighbors their address to recoup the $4,000 for the fence. I said that I own my house and like I assume they own theirs. I didn't think they wanted strangers walking through their yard. Currently they walk the sidewalks like they were taught. They haven't been in my yard since. Well, that's good. Excuse me. Now we have expectation versus reality. It's entitled "The Birthday Flowers I Wanted to Send versus what actually showed up." So here's the expectation. Well, they're pretty but weird. Like that's not a natural color for roses. Oh, that sounds fun. My daughter's getting a CT scan and they accused her of being a minor and wanted her to call her mommy. She's 27 years old. So, I'm sorry, that's hilarious. All right, this is 1 dozen wild rainbow roses. They're not natural like that. That they do things that make them look like that. And that's what she got. And that is not roses. And they're not good. And they're not colored correctly. That's sad. That's really sad. Melodic Sale says they're not even roses. And Ginny Gumming says not only are they not roses, but what was received apparently appears to be old and half dead. Alicia Dina says, florist here, those roses do exist. They are dyed as grown. So they're dyed while they're growing, is what she means. Please make sure you're ordering from an actual local florist when sending flowers. Look up their order gatherers. They are a type of company ruining our business. They often make their sites look like actual physical floral shops, but they are third party companies who take your order and they call an actual florist. They tell the florist the budget, often much less than you actually paid, so they can take their cut and give the real florist whatever description of arrangement they want. That said, no matter what, that should never have happened. That should never have left a shop ever. In the future, everyone please look up a local florist in the area you want to send and actually call them directly. We love talking to people and getting exactly idea of what you want. Tell you that what we have available and fill your arrangement to the actual value of your budget. Barnacle Lips says, as someone also in the floral industry, all of this is great advice. The only thing I'd add is that if you don't have your heart set on something specific, ask for designer's choice and often will be the best bang of your buck and really pretty creative arrangement. That sounds cool. That's good to know. All right, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I try to go live at least 4 times a week, usually around noon Eastern time, Tuesday through Thursday. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors, tell everybody you know. Everybody, tell the person at the grocery store, tell the person in the drive-thru, tell the person at the car wash. If you have a story of your own or come across a good one in the wild, please send us an email entitled submission. If you'd like an email link to the day's current live, send an email entitled subscribe. The email is biddybrunchbunch, all one word, at gmail.com, and I will not spam you with anything, I promise. If I do, you can block me. The email address is also in the description for your convenience. This is from Real Estate. This is entitled Jewel of the Desert, Frank Lloyd Wright's first ever Usonian automatic house with 438 windows. I do not want to replace those windows. I have enough windows in my house, and oh my gosh, the estimate for that was ridiculous. But I love me a Frank Lloyd Wright house for sure. And he always made prairie style houses, or almost always. This is $4,950,000, 4 bedrooms, 5 baths, about 4,500 and a half square feet. Get the chicken. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, there are 114 photos, by the way. It's looking Frank Lloyd Wrighty to me. Oh, that's cool. I actually like that. Oh, that's weird. This stuff, what the heck? Very odd decorating. Apartments across the way. They have a lot of little Mickey stuff. That's pretty. At night. It's a decent kitchen. Interesting that the oven's over here instead of over there. It's like another oven. That's cool. Or is that the dishwasher? I don't know. What do you think that is? Dishwasher or oven? I could see that being a Jewish dishwasher. That's kind of interesting. It looks like a garage door, but it's all cement, brick. I don't know that I like the raw cement look. He did things for specific reasons, though. I'm guessing that bed stays. I would not like the people in the apartments looking in my bathroom. Oh, thank you. Otherwise, a nice bathroom. Nice giant closet. How do people? Oh, they have to have a stool. I have that same stool. I have that same stool in my house. My husband likes to use it as a table, an end table. They have interesting Spanish directions on their washer dryer. How would you even get? You have to have the stool. That's crazy. No, thank you. I can barely reach it as it is. I can't even have one of those. I have to have an upright or a top loader. That was weird. I like the artwork in that room. Another bathroom. Of course, it's on a golf course. So that's what it looks like from the outside, I presume. Liquid Right always says you can't have enough heavy artillery in your front yard. They have a literal cannon, tank cannon. I guess they're ready for the war. You have a pool, so that's good. And an extra garage, it looks like. Or a pool house, something. I don't know. But you got to pay to park there. You got to pay to park. That's weird. There's a weird little Buddha thing there. Ooh, but you get fresh, so that's cool. Those are really nice looking too. Outdoor grill area, which is nice. I'm sure the taxes are outrageous, right? They have a lot of collectibles. A lot of artwork and a lot of collectibles. Well, that's definitely the ovens. I don't know what that other thing was, unless it's a dishwasher of some sort. I don't think I've ever seen a dishwasher with the extra drawer, but I'm sure I haven't seen every dishwasher. Why is there a giant refrigerator in your bedroom? That's really weird. Wow, that's a big interest way to be that empty. I'd have to put something in there. Nice garage. At least they're not repeating the same angles and everything all the time. I do like that fireplace. That is really neat. Conversation piece. I was gonna say I don't know how I would decorate that, but I wouldn't decorate. I have no eye for that stuff. These are just repeats. It's interesting that they have two garage areas. I mean, it's fine. It's nice to have an extra garage that you can put stuff in. So, oops. It was built in 1971. It was a little over 1.5 acres, which is a decent size. It's on the 18th hole of the Biltmore Links Golf Course. It's the Benjamin Adelman House. Originally built in 1951 by that's weird. By Frank Lloyd Wright. So it's 20 years later that they built it. I'm confused. I'm so confused. 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 4 full bathrooms, and 1 half bath. That's reasonable, yes. Every bedroom has a full bathroom. There's lots of bathrooms you have to clean. Even if you don't use them, you gotta clean them. Full bath, master bedroom, separate shower and tub. Stone flooring. They have skylights. It has no basement. It does have a fireplace. There's a fireplace in the living room, master bedroom, and they are gas. Included appliances are dryer, washer, dishwasher, disposal. Oh, maybe that's a disposal. Gas cooktop, built-in electric oven. Has anything interesting? No. Oh, it does have a guest house. So that's interesting. So you're also buying another house. So that's something. Actually, the property taxes aren't that bad. It's only $13,902. And they're asking way. Well, they bought it for $1,200, and now they're asking $4,950, and it is pending. So somebody's going to get that house. Next, we have confession, and it is entitled, "I'm currently a Mormon missionary and I smuggled in a phone." I don't approve of missionaries. Just saying. I'm currently on a Mormon mission. We're not always allowed to have any kind of internet access, not even Google for basic questions. I smuggled a phone and pretended to have stomach problems so I can be in the bathroom and scroll memes, watch YouTube, and send myself music and videos on my mission phone to talk to friends, keep up with news and memes, and send language learning resources because they're the ones they provide suck, etc. If they get sus, I'll bring my journal or scriptures so that I'm not just sitting here. On P days, I can find a room and call my family. 18 months to go. There is no way in hell I would survive this long without it. I keep it in a special zipper in my toiletries bag that's filled with masks. but other missionaries are way too trusting to go through my stuff. I refuse to download any games. I don't want to get super addicted to using it all the time that it drives me crazy. Got to have at least some discipline. Problem, of course, is charging it because privacy is extremely rare, and that's not easy during appointments where I have to be alone or calling my family. Thankfully, it charges in about an hour. Notifications are always off and do not disturb is always on, and power off every time I'm not using it. Never too safe for your mental salvation for 2 years as a foot away from your companion's head when he takes a dump. I put stuff in my secret place in specific patterns, so if anything moves, I can tell somebody was snooping. Anyway, weighing this mission, unfortunately, going home is not an option for me. If anybody here is forced to go, I have a ton of basic illegal mission survival trips on how to get away with certain things. And yes, I'm having stomach problems right now. Sounds like this guy is not going to be a Mormon very long. Doesn't seem dedicated to the bit. Blah, da, blah, da, blah says, why do you have to be there? And Useful Caterpillar says, I'm going to take some pressure from his I'm going to say pressure from his family and community back home, possibly a girlfriend too. For a missionary to come home early from their mission is viewed on shame of them and their family, and usually viewed as a major embarrassment to the Mormon culture. He's a young kid raised with the guilt and pressure of the church. He also paid to go a lot to go, from what I understand. The church doesn't give any money back if you come home early, so maybe finances are part of it. Give him some grace. It's not easy to plan to escape from, both physically and emotionally. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's part of the reason I don't like missions. They force kids to go. They have no business being there. They have no business interfering with people's culture like that. That's my anthropologist coming out. Burbly blurburb. That's what Grassy said. But I'd add family and community pressure. I'm a Utah native, and the pressure placed on my daughter when she wanted to leave was intense. It's a very long story, but my abusive ex was a non-practicing member. Started going back after we got divorced. He manipulated my daughter into going to church. I've never been religious. When she was 17, she decided she was done. Her young women's leader took her out to lunch and talked about why she was losing her faith. The bishop spoke to her. The missionaries were sent to her home. Her fellow young women members blew up her phone. It was a full court press that was successful for another 3 months. They believe that if you leave, you won't make it to the highest kingdom and you won't be with your family for eternity. It's drummed into you your entire life. Imagine all of that, including your parents, siblings, grandparents, and friends, etc. There's a reason why people refer to the church as a cult, because it's a cult. Yeah, he has no choice. I mean, that sort of pressure is crazy. Interesting AF. Visual snow was considered extremely rare until recently, mostly because patients didn't report it because they assumed everyone saw the world that way. Same with aphantasia. It does have a. So, how do you see the world? I'm definitely the first one. That's busy, man. That seems busy. Jeez. I mean, I don't, that's not my vision, but that isn't either. I have astigmatism, so it messes up at night. I hate it. So, if you see the world like this, you should probably get checked out or something. I don't know. I might actually comment on this one. No, they don't have anything more. Okay, Yogurt Closet says, my brother had double vision when he was younger, and her mother never knew until she saw him walk into a wall going through a door. She asked what happened. He said he chose the wrong one. Fresh Prince in L Air. Prince in L Air. It's weird. Bro had to go through life constantly making critical decisions. I I am not a lion, but I am a cat, says my younger sibling was evaluated for every learning disability under the sun before they realized she's 90% deaf in 1 year. Necessary Echo says, I'm 41. I've had somewhat slight double vision my entire life. I didn't know it wasn't normal until a couple of years ago. Now my glasses are prismed, and I haven't had quite so many accidents as I used to. Who would have guessed? GFX says, my dad is colorblind, and my grandma didn't know it until he was in first grade and got in a fight with a kid for removing labels on his crayon. Because he had to look at the crayon to see what color it was. Wow. That's kind of like my neighbor is like completely colorblind. He sees everything in gray. He says he didn't even know about it till he was an adult. Rolando Feld says, sounds like me. I had glasses for being nearsighted since middle school. Cool, no biggie. I get glasses every few years with my parents at the shop at the mall. Expensive for my family, but we get by. Fast forward to college, I'm co-op engineering intern at an industrial site and go to this new ophthalmologist to get a script for the prescription safety glasses that the job pays for. This ophthalmologist sits me down and does a full workup and notices I check the box for C starburst around light. So he sets up a new exam that I'd never experienced before at the eye doctor. It was basically a plus sign and a circle, and he asked me to describe them. I do, he says, but they aren't on top of each other. I reply, hell no, they're diagonal and way far apart. His face literally paused and he apologizes, saying a doctor should have caught this years ago or decades ago. Basically, what comes out is that what I thought was normal vision with glasses, my whole life since middle school, was actually double vision but corrected for my nearsighted eyes. He gives me a hefty prism to my script to make the plus sign and the circle overlap, which warns me that I will not be able to drive until I adapt and will likely get headaches and maybe vomit. All that happened was especially the headaches. My brain learns to stop doing the compensation for what my eyes are supposed to do, and now my glasses will actually do. Oh, and the script will need to be changed as my eyes will likely always eat part of the script for the prism, so we'll have to change these to a new, better script. He was right about everything. My eyes are better now, but my prism has always been a struggle, but at least I don't have to mentally calculate to guess which stop sign is the valid one, and I'm marginally better at things like playing pool or frisbee or baseball, but not great, of course. Wow. Interesting. Lucas Fat Pants says, I have it. It's never been a problem until it gets super dark. Dark and neutral tones make the static pop, so when I'm trying to drive through BFE at night, it looks like I'm trying to drive through oil on shrooms. As far as the pictures go, it's never been like that. Think of thin veneer of static between your eyes and the outside world, like TV static. It moves, undulates, and fluctuates unpredictably. That sounds horrible. The unintended side effects is that everything I look at appears to have an aura that extends about a half an inch of itself. Like tinnitus, you don't usually see it until you look for it or absentmindedly remember you have it. Um, that a visual static does not undulate. I am stupid. Lolione says, I have this and noticed it when looking at a big plain backgrounds like a white wall or blue sky. When I was a kid, I used to think I was literally seeing atoms and that I had supervision. I also have asymmetric pupils, but I don't know if that's a reason for the snow. Editing this link is a better example of what I see as visual snow. Let's try it. Do you see that? I did not see that, thank goodness. Because that seems like it would really mess up your perception of stuff. It sounds horrible. Crystal Ladd says, welcome to my life. This and tinnitus is my reality. Next is Am I the A-hole, AITA, for disinviting a friend to my birthday after she showed me the food she was bringing. Hi, guys. I'm using a throwaway for this one. So basically, I, 17 female, and having My 18th at my house. It's just dinner with my closest friends. I told everyone they may bring food if they like, but I'm going to do a little cooking, some barbecue food and ordering pizza. My guy friend Ryan asked if he could bring a mutual friends we have, Emily, since they're dating now. I told him yes, sure, because he was gonna leave early. She offered to make food. I told her it would be really nice and she didn't have to, and she insisted. I made a group chat of people coming and I invited Emily to it. I sent a message talking about when to come, to where, whatever. A important message was about allergies. I have a friend coming with a really serious nut allergy, so nobody bring nuts. It's not that hard. I've never seen them have a reaction, but I've told it gets pretty bad, and it can. I've never seen a reaction either, but I've heard the descriptions. And I have friends who have kids that have allergies, and I have a niece that has allergies, like bad, like the anaphylactic shock type. I wrote the message: triple check your food doesn't have nuts and be aware of cross contamination. Everything read, everyone read the message. Some reply. Emily does a thumbs up on the message. Last night, me and Emily were talking. She mentioned the food she made. I told her to show a picture of it, and it was a cake. Cake looked like something my mom had made, and it contained nuts. I asked if it had nuts, and she said yes, not a lot, but my friend should just not eat the cake. I told her I'd rather she just didn't bring it. She then got mad and said she had gone through the trouble of making the cake, so she's bringing it, or she isn't coming. Okay, then don't come. You were told no nuts. It's not that hard. I told her then she's not coming because I was cleared about my friend's allergy and even cross contaminating was asked to be checked, so why would I allow her to bring a whole cake? She said I was disrespectful to invite her and that she's Ryan's girlfriend. If he's going, she's going. I told her no, it's my party and I didn't want her there anymore because she was acting like a child. She stopped texting me, but then I got a call from Ryan saying I was being a massive dick and she spent ages on the cake. Oh well, pick a different should have picked up a different cake. It's not that big a deal. She said I said I don't care if it took her 2 whole weeks to make the goddamn cake. I was specific from the beginning of what you could bring and couldn't. The only thing you couldn't bring was something with nuts. The parts where I'm talking to these two where I may be the asshole. I asked if she's incompetent of reading comprehension. She says she doesn't know another cake recipe. So find one. Oh my gosh. I want to make a parsnip maple chocolate cake, pecan cake that I found in a recipe book that I have. If I wanted to take it to a party, I would make sure nobody was allergic to pecans because I wouldn't take it. I would take something else. She said I was being a bitch and hung up on me. Ryan is telling everyone him and Emily are not attending because I called them names and rejected Emily's cake. A lot of my friends, mostly ones not coming to the party, say that was slack to let her make something and then uninvite her because what she made, she put effort in that cake for my birthday. There's only 3 people saying I'm not the a-hole, and one of them is my friend with a nut allergy. Shocker. My party's tomorrow, and I kind of want perspective on this before then. Edit. The cake is something spongy cake, but it's not actual birthday cake with frosting. I really don't know how to explain it, but it's more of a treat cake where I live, if that makes any sense. Edit 2. Three things. I'm a girl, guys. LOL. The friend with the allergy is a guy. Also, the comments calling my post fake are boring. I'm not responding to heaps of comments because there's more than 1,000 of them. Boo hoo. The guy cussing me out in the comments because my name is Cupcake Lad. And so has to mean my stories are fake because I'm a boy. I'm Australian, and so at least where I live, it's a common term. And I use it in a joking way to address this. Gonna sound crazy, guys and girls. Whoa. And lastly, I did thank her before she made the cake when she told me she was bringing one. I said it was really sweet, and I thanked her for bringing a cake, thinking to make one for me. I'm responding to some comments that I obviously didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. It might take me a while. I'm trying to read as much as I can. Number 3. Guys, please look up allergies that can be airborne before you comment. It's not propaganda or being sensitive. I'm not going to call debate whether my friend's allergies are really that serious. The point of the post was asking if I was the a-hole for what I called her and disinviting her. If you read the title, I wasn't asking your opinion or medical advice regarding the allergy. Seriously, guys, Google, it's extremely free and easy to use. Also, thank you for all the birthday wishes. Fourth, for the love of God, do you think my Fossis page keeps scrolling? Do not comment or DM me to the point of spelling out mistakes or anything. I don't care. It's getting hard to report all the comments cussing me out for making up reasons. My post is fabricated. Please seriously get out of my get a life. I don't see why people have to do that. It's silly. And also, there are people who are so allergic to nuts, peanuts, stuff like that, that yeah, they're if they catch even a microgram in the atmosphere, they can be sent to the hospital and perhaps even die. So don't do it. Thankfully, my niece is not that allergic, and when I had her here, I put the peanut butter away, like away. Nobody could even find. My husband asked where it was, and I'm like, you can't have that. You can't have that. We have little Sophie in the house. You can't have that. Neville Smile says, OP, don't bring anything with nuts. M, okay. M, I'm bringing a cake with nuts. OP, don't bring it. M, I'm not coming. OP, okay. NTA. Exactly. Like, if you don't want to come because I don't want you to bring your cake to possibly kill my friend, then don't come. You need, somebody said, do you need to tell every friend that is giving you grief? You specifically told Emily she could not bring anything with nuts. She made a cake with nuts anyway, insisted she was going to bring it, even though you said no. That's why she was disinvited. She wasn't even really disinvited. It was just like, if you're going to bring the cake, don't come. She said, don't bring the cake. She said, I'm not going to come if I can't bring the cake. It's like, okay, that's your choice. She was not disinvited. And that Emily responded to the no nuts with a thumbs up. Proudly Muslima says she was not disinvited. She chose to come without the cake. Exactly. All OP needs to say, I didn't disinvite her. I told her not to bring the cake, and she said she wasn't coming without the cake, and I said, okay. It's her choice not to come. I had nothing to do with it. Next, we have Overheard, and it's entitled, I had to wear my wife's underwear. One of those outpatient procedure waiting areas where you change out of your clothes and wait to be taken back. There was no nonsense nurse checking patients, and she was really cranking them out. The older gentleman, 70-ish, in the curtain area next to me is going through her routine, and she's not answering as quickly as she would like. She is clearly annoyed with him as he is explaining what to do with his clothes, and then he interrupts to explain, well, I had to wear my wife's underwear because she interrupts him and doesn't let him finish his explanation. But I want to know. Oh. Razing said she probably heard every excuse already. And Andy replies, she ruined it. It could have been an epic story. Beneficial Matter says, after reading the comments, I'd like to add a point of view. One, nursing is a notoriously understaffed, underpaid, stressful profession. An intake nurse being no nonsense is understandable. Well, yeah, nobody's complaining about that. Two, sometimes creeps, including older men, try to include their others in their kinks. I'm not saying that was this man's intention. I don't know him. That's pretty common, pretty obviously possibility under the circumstances outlined. We don't know what his nurse had to deal with in the course of her job. Nurses are harassed by people claiming to need medical help. That's true. That happens. Three, even if he wasn't being a creep, it wasn't necessary information. The nurse may have been trying to spare this man and herself from the embarrassment of his oversharing behind a not soundproof curtain just by interrupting. But I still want to know. And yeah, there are so many creeps around. Why do men have to be such creeps? I'm sure there are women too, but it's mostly men. Be nice if men grew up. Next we have True Off My Chest, and it is entitled, it sounds sad, so trigger warning, you guys. You might want to miss this one. You might skip it. I wish my daughter just died instead. 4 years ago, my now 16-year-old daughter was in a car accident with one of her friend's moms, and she broke her neck. Now she's completely paralyzed from the waist down and her left arm. She basically can only use her right hand. It destroys me every day just to look at her. I love her so much and it pains me because she cries about her situation every single time. And every single time she cries, I feel like someone is grabbing my damn heart and pulling it out of my chest. I'm so sorry, OP. That really sucks. Every single day I help her get around. I put her in bed, I take her out, and I even shower her sometimes when my wife isn't around, and I dress her up and I do her hair and makeup and everything. I never complain about it because she's my baby, and I'll keep helping her until I physically can't anymore. But it just kills me to think about if I'm gone, what will happen because I have many health issues of my own. Heart problems run in my family, and men don't usually make it far past 50 in my family. Both my dad and grandpa died in their 50s, and my oldest brother died last year of cancer at 56. And I might be next. I'm 49 now, and honestly, I'm wanging terrified of leaving her alone. Well, let me tell you about my dad, sir. Every male in his family died before they were 70. He's now 83. He spent all his money. He spent all his money, and now he doesn't have any, except for Social Security. All because of the mistaken idea that he wouldn't live past 70. So don't don't doom yourself to not being here. You could last a way longer time. She's my youngest kid. I have 3 other kids and every one of them has their own thing going on, and taking care of a disabled person is a huge responsibility even if you love them very much. And they all have told me that they won't look after her when I'm gone. They're just going to put her in some care facility. I don't blame them, but I hate that so much. Nobody is going to love and care for her like me and my wife do, and I don't think any man would be interested in her even though she's a wonderful person. And that's not true either. That's not necessarily true either. And how do you know she's not a lesbian? But anyway, if she people fall in love with disabled people all the time. Really, really caring people that don't care that they have to take care of that person the rest of their lives. I feel like a damn bastard for this, but sometimes I wish she passed that day. At least she wouldn't have lived this hell. It'd have been hell for me. At least she wouldn't have suffered like this. No parent ever wants to outlive his child. I feel like I'm the worst piece of crap for this, but I don't mind outliving her. At least I know she was finally at peace and I would die wondering what happened with her. I hate myself so much for these thoughts if they're not going anywhere with all my health issues. I'm in pain most of the time. All my tests are bad, and I'm just tired and terrified for her of her not dying itself, not of dying itself. I think you both need a lot of counseling. I think you both need a lot of counseling. I'm very independent. When I'm sick, I even take care of myself. I hate asking people for help. My daughter-in-law's even worse. Um, but you can do this. She can live a very happy life. She has, I mean, it could be worse. Think of Christopher Reeve. His wife took care of him. She still loved him even though he was disabled. People can still love people that are disabled. It's not the end of the world. And there are care facilities that are very good. Maybe you should pick it out before you die. Stringham no said it would be worth reaching out to your local center for independent living, or if the state has a college or youth leadership forum for young people with disabilities to help her start build a community and peer support. Data shows that one of the biggest indicators of self-image for young people with disabilities is to expose mentors and role models with similar and different types of disabilities. That sounds like that sounds good. Somebody says she was 16. No, she was 12. And they're saying that if you get a life-altering disability happen before adulthood, you can go live in group homes and have more independence. New Life says, my brother had an accident last July. He's now paraplegic. He's been getting various therapy services for his mind and body. If your daughter has not gotten these as well, she should. My brother is also getting access to some new technology that will help stimulate his limbs and hopefully get back some feeling and function in his arms and hands at least. I find out, well, so he's a quadriplegic, not a paraplegic. Paraplegic is only your legs. Quadriplegic is your legs and arms. At least find out the name so you can contact your insurance and get them to help you apply for it. And your daughter needs to do something besides watch TV all day. Yes, options are limited, but continuing to be part of the outside world will help her from becoming even more depressed than she already is. Edited to add the devices through the Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation. It's called ARC-X, and they have a bunch of other things in the pipeline as well. And they have lots of resources for families and caregivers, as well as help with insurance. OP, my friend is a C2 quadriplegic. She got injured at 13. Today she's a high school teacher and happily married. Does she need help with everything? Yes. That's part of her life, but she has accomplished so much in her life. I suggest connecting with peers. If Fiasco says this 100%. I was a caregiver to my friend who was a C3 quadriplegic. Her quality of life was greatly improved by a sense of humanity. Community. Ugh. This is from What Do I Do? It's entitled Roommate came into my room and cuddled and kissed my girlfriend while we were asleep. That's gross. The original post was so last night around 4 a.m., my roommate friend came into our room while we were sleeping and started cuddling and kissed her neck while we were sleeping. That's like sexual assault. My mattress is on the floor, so he didn't crawl into bed, but rather laid on the carpet and wrapped his arms around her while hanging over the side of the bed. She sleeps on the aisle side, so it was easy for him to get close. Me and her woke up to see him there, and in a daze, I asked him what he was doing, and shortly realized he had his arm over her, cuddling as much as he could, with his face pressed against her neck. Okay, there are conditions where this happens, and the good person is completely unaware of it. Just putting it out there first. I got up and immediately dragged his ass out of my room, shut the door, and locked it. We were both extremely confused, upset, yes, but more absolutely dumbfounded on what would possess him to do such a thing. I'm 25 and girlfriend is 23 female. Roommate is 21 male. Note, he was obviously extremely intoxicated because girlfriend says he smelt heavily of liquor and was very confused when I was kicking him out of the room. I'm torn because this is a good friend of mine and hers, and we enjoy having our lives. But this kind of situation, I would be afraid will be very difficult to move past. Action taken so far. Texted, reminded him what happened because I'm 100% he was blacked out and won't remember. But I demand he take accountability and apologize for his disgusting behavior to me and especially to her. Yes, he should. Even you're still responsible for what you do when you're drunk. Edit, you guys are right. This is assault and I shouldn't give him any excuses. However, my thought process is he had just got back from a girl's house he has been seeing lately, so my guess is that he was blacked out drunk and thought he was crawling into bed with her. Really? PSA, the feelings I have and the justifications or excuses I'm listing are not just my thought, but also girlfriend's. Top comment is from Holiday Protection. And it says, I think all this is a discussion between you and your girlfriend at this point. You have two options. Kick him out or keep him. How far, to what extent should the agreement between you? House race? That sounds fun. I might be going to an outhouse race. Yes, he might have been blacked out or just drunk enough to make bad decisions. But he chose to get this that way, and there's also the question of why he bothered to go to your room and cuddle her. Educational thing says you're telling me your roommate violated your girlfriend in her sleep, drunk or not. You're questioning whether to keep him around. If he would randomly try to do things to a sleeping woman, why the wang do you want him in your life? I'm sorry, but so many people get back out drunk that they don't do that crap. It was sober thoughts seeping into drunken action. That's true too. And lopsided photographer photograph is trying to say that's not true, but it is. It's bull crap. A bunch of things about another. No, I don't know. Either he promises to never drink again. Mildly infuriating. It's a dad thing, but might find it funny, but my kids hate it. This is how I cut their sandwiches. I actually kind of find that funny too. That's just a dad being a silly dad. Somebody did this to it, which is really funny. Lawful God, neutral God, chaotic God, lawful neutral, neutral evil, chaotic evil. That's pretty cute. That's actually pretty cute. The one in the middle is grounds for execution. Where put ultra ferret says rare post where the LP is mildly infuriating one. Last salad said this is formative years in the making. My dad used to cut our sandwiches as wrong as possible every damn day. I miss him so much. Yeah, for sure. Oh, he needs another one. He needs to do that to one of them. Oh, that's funny. Carnivore Regain says this is how they're going to cut your sandwiches when you're older. Oh, that's really funny. This is from Anna. Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting to my comments about the food? Boyfriend's comments about the food I made. So there's the food. The amount of sauce you used is disrespectful. Oh, I was just trying to do something nice. You don't have to eat it. That is an awfully little bit of sauce. On Monday, my boyfriend, 30 female, and my 30 female, and my boyfriend's 35 female. Huh? I'm confused. It's fine. Mother's passed away. She was terminally ill for about a year and a half and has been obviously very tragic for my boyfriend and his family. He texted me Tuesday morning and told me she passed away the night before. We don't live together. He was at his parents' all day Tuesday, and I had no idea what to do for him, as I've never supported anyone through a loss like this, and I've never been through a loss like this myself. I happened to have a big pot of pasta and meatballs in my fridge that I had cooked for myself, so I took it and brought it over to his house. It wasn't gourmet by any means, but it was literally all I had in terms of something that could be stored in the fridge, and all I had to do was put it in a bowl and heat it up. I didn't have any other groceries to make something that would make good leftovers because I was all out of food stamps, and I didn't pick up takeout because I don't have the money for it. I recently lost my job and haven't had a steady income for the past several weeks. His roommate let me in. My boyfriend knew I was dropping something off and then left the pot in the fridge. I also cleaned up his bedroom and went back to work and went to work. I thought you didn't have a job. So you don't have a job, but you went back to work. I'm confused. I went back over later that night to spend the night with him so he wouldn't be alone, and we didn't talk much, but he didn't eat what I made him because he wasn't hungry by the time he got home. It was late and we just went to bed. He was acting very distant and cold toward me, but wasn't taking it personally given the circumstances. Yeah. I can't imagine what I would be feeling if I was in his shoes. The next morning, Wednesday, I stayed with him for a few more hours until he left to go hang out with his brother. I also had to leave because my mom and I were driving to a nearby city where we had booked an Airbnb for 2 nights a few weeks prior. My mom paid for the whole thing as an early birthday present to me. which I was extremely grateful for. I told my boyfriend that I could cancel the trip, but he insisted I go, even going as far as saying he would be mad at me if I canceled, so I went. That's fair. You can still go on your little trip. Later that night, my mom and I were relaxing in our Airbnb when I get a text from my boyfriend. It's a picture of the pasta and meatballs I left for him. It says, "The amount of sauce you use is disrespectful." It sounds like a joke to me. Like, yeah, I like more sauce on mine, dude. That's fine. It sounds like a joke. And she said, "Oh, you don't have to eat it." And he asked if I tried it myself, and I told him yes, and I had 2 plates of it. I genuinely thought it was good for just some pasta, red sauce, and meatballs and cheese thrown in a pot. Again, it was something I originally made for myself. I didn't have ingredients or money for ingredients to make him a fresh meal. Okay, you've already said that. Yesterday, I got home from my trip and he wanted me to sleep over, so I did. He made us dinner. He usually does the cooking and made some comments about how dinner was really good and how the food you cook someone can be a representation of how you feel about them and how much you love them. But she didn't cook that for you, sir. She cooked that for her and gave it to you because your grandma passed away. To me, it was clear he was making a jab at the pasta and meatballs I gave him. Then this morning before I left, I went to grab the pot of pasta to take it home. I forget how we got into it, but he basically made another jab about how it wasn't edible. It was not inedible, and that I'll see for myself when I have some. I got really upset at this point. He went on to say that my food made him feel so much worse. Wow. I mean, I get that you're not feeling good, dude, but don't take it out on her. She tried to do something nice to you. Nice for you. He said some other people dropped off food that was actually delicious, and he didn't understand why I didn't do that. He just kept doubling down, saying how awful my food was and how it made him feel unloved and disrespected. Dump this guy. This guy's a walking red flag. Like, dump him. I don't like him. Dump him. She didn't make it for you. He said it was winged up of me to give him something so bad. It really hurt me because I would never want to do something to make him feel bad, especially when he's grieving over the loss of a tragic loss of a parent. Was this his mom? Oh, was this his mom? I get that your mom died, and I'm sorry for that, but that doesn't entitle you to be a jerk to people. I genuinely don't know if I'm overreacting to this. He says I shouldn't feel bad, but motivated to do better. I told him he could have handled it differently by saying something like, "Thanks for the food, babe, but maybe more sauce next time." Or he could have just said nothing and thrown the food away. I try my best to be there for him. I feel like I just can't get it right. Nothing I do is ever good enough for him, and it's eroding my self-confidence. Red flag. If nothing you do is good enough for him and it's eroding your self-confidence, get rid of him. I'm a nanny caregiver of 10 plus years. It's literally my specialty to take care of people, and I've always been told I'm exceptional at what I do. So it's confusing that he acts like me, like I'm incompetent in making everything worse. Top comment is from Hillengat, and that says, "That dude is straight up mean, in my opinion." Kind Income said, "And scary. Read all the details. He was serious. He genuinely thought it was disrespectful. How?" Throwaway says, "Plus, he's 35. Oh, wow. I thought maybe he was particularly nasty 18-year-old. Nope. Yikes." Remote Remotel says, "He is mean. I would be so grateful to someone who straightened up my room and left me food as a sign of affection and support. This is a major red flag. I lost my mom when I was 23. I never berated anyone like this." The next top rated comment is from Channy Shu, and it says, "Nothing I do is ever good enough for him, and it's eroding my self confidence. It's confusing to me that he acts like I'm incompetent and making everything worse. He wasn't joking. He's usually like this, unfortunately. The way he's treating me, you'd think I killed his mom myself. I was scared of what he would do if I did nothing." Oh, wow. "There are 4 reasons you should break up with him. You gave him the last of your food while literally neck deep in financial issues, and you clean his room, and he can't even give you a simple thank you. I would personally break up with him because no one is going to be speaking to me that way ever. I don't care that they're going through. Kindness is free." I always say that. "Being rude can and should cost you, and if he's like this all the time, his cost should be losing you. If there's someone out there who would not only do a bare minimum, but would go above and beyond for you the way you try to do for your current boyfriend. Someone out there will love you like you love everyone deserves. Someone that can love them the way they love. You deserve someone that would give you the last of their food and clean your room for you while you were going through something. A great rule of thumb when it comes to relationships is that you can't expect things from people you wouldn't do for them, and you shouldn't accept those that expect things that they wouldn't do for you. 100%. Yeah, I don't like that guy. Dump him. Traumatizing back is entitled You Promised? So I, 17, male to female, so trans woman, have this tail that hooks onto belt loops. The other day I was wearing it and I went to the boys' restroom. I don't quite pass yet, and somebody said, I must stick something else up your ass besides that tail. At first I was planning on being silent, and then I suddenly came up with a great response. You promise? In the most femboyish voice I could pull off. Safe to say that stunned him and his friends to silence. I don't even know who these kids were. My school is just one of those where alt is tolerated unless it's an alt boy, though. I'm not a boy. But like I said earlier, I don't pass so people think I am. Yeah, that's a good comeback. Good on you. Good job. Say something like really offhand when people insult you like that. Next, we have Best of Redditor updates the real one, and it's entitled AAM should be on reality TV disqualify a job candidate. No. This was originally posted to Ask a Manager on March 12th, 2018. No, why would being on reality TV keep you from having a job? That's silly. Currently on a hiring committee for a newly established role in my division. It's designed for something with a marketing background, but involves a lot of direct interactions with clients on projects. This person will manage a team within our marketing department and is a relatively senior position. We've had our first set of interviews, and one candidate stood out particularly in terms of her experience, practical skills, and overall demeanor. Although I can't say that she's unequivocally qualified over the others, it seems pretty clear she should be brought back for a second round. After her first interview, she received very positive feedback and seemed like an obvious choice to return. Yesterday, however, one member of the committee mentioned that a quick Google search of her name brought up that she had been a cast member on a reality TV show a decade ago. So she's done this 10 years ago. Give me a break. Admittedly, the show is not one remembered for its tastefulness, one's along the line of the real world Jersey Shore. So, and it was 10 years ago. It seems to have soured most of the committee on her, and it doesn't look like she'll be brought back. They're arguing that someone who will serve in a public or in managerial position should not have this type of history. Sorry, what? And that her atypical first names mean that a client or coworker will likely remember her from the show. Okay. If she's qualified and she's professional, what does it matter? I'm unconvinced. I think her qualifications are such that she should be considered. That qualified applicant should not be blacklisted indefinitely because they were on MTV once in their 20s. Exactly. A few are also unhappy that she left this off of her resume and didn't bring it up to us in the first interview, which I find a bit ridiculous. It isn't related to her professional experience, and she shouldn't be tasked with casually bringing up each time she's running for a job. That being said, I'm easily the most junior member of the hiring committee, so I don't know if this is something I should spend capital on. But I feel like rejecting this candidate outright for a year's old action would be very unfair to her. At the very least, she deserved to be brought back in and asked about part of her past. How can I advocate for her, or should I bother? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Comments. KK says, no one on the hiring committee knew who she was until somebody Googled her. That doesn't sound like she was particularly recognizable. And with the number of reality TV shows and how long it's been around, I don't think that it's shocking to run into somebody who was on a show at some point. I think taking her out of the running is a big overreaction. Guy Canino says, it's also important to remember and let your hiring committee know that the job of people who edit these shows is to create a story, character arcs, etc. It's easy to make someone look like a bad guy by editing out a few moments. Exactly. They are highly edited and actually kind of scripted. Think making people stand for 2 hours, filming them looking tired, but then splicing it as if they are reacting to somebody talking in that minute. But I agree, it's unfair to the candidate. Mechanical Pencil says, I think this is a no-win situation for the candidate. If she had put this on her resume, the hiring committee likely would have wondered the reason behind it. Why does she think being on show X is even relevant to this position? Because she hasn't. She's now in this position of, but why didn't she tell us? Ashley says, being a young person in the hiring committee, I agree this may not be worth spending a lot of capital. If you have watched the season and know they weren't known for horrible comments, I would probably push back slightly. But even if she isn't the best but if she isn't the best candidate, I doubt I would waste much capital. But maybe she is the best candidate. It is also worth noting to help get in her a few doors for reality obsessed clients. Personally, I would be a little curious, Google them if I found out, get bored, and move on to actual work matters. Exactly. Will Sci Fantasy Frank says, so I was on a reality TV show about a decade ago. It was roughly in the real world mode, and I always think of it as world meets Amazing Race meets My Fair Lady. I even got portrayed as kind of an egoist, but I was given an opportunity to be contrite and forgiven in the whole welcome back finale. And I have that fact that I was on the show, and I mean not the egotistic part on my resume and the catch-all of additional information, alongside having been the Hugo World Awards administrator and my experience as a programmer. I'm not in that field anymore. I don't list any jobs, so it's surprisingly useful to mention that I can code. I found it to be absolutely fantastic job interview icebreaker. I can tell you how many interviews I had where toward the end of the raw facts finish up had the interviewer soften their stance a bit and say, so I have to ask you about reality TV. I also developed a pretty good patter about it. My mother compared it once to my doing summer stock. I went away for a few weeks, did this thing, came back to my real life afterwards. Exactly. I was also a year out of college working in coding, and the following year I started law school. So all the interviews I went to after that got shunted into the mental before becoming a lawyer phase. Of course, it's hard to gauge sorts of things, but I certainly was never told that my stint on TV was why I got rejected for a job. And I'm in a job I love that seems to love me and definitely has public facing elements. So yeah, LW. I have to say that your committee members sound very prudish, actually. I mean, maybe I can see why she didn't mention it factor, but maybe still. A decade is a century in reality TV terms. No one is going to remember unless they go looking, and nobody is going to care if they do. I only keep mine on because it makes for a great story, not because think I'm obligated. Update December 4th, 2018, 9 months later. After reading your response in the comments, thank you everyone, I decided this was something I should stick to my principles on or risk feeling later that I didn't make use of my position in the moment. I shamelessly memorized the script you provided and went to bat for the candidate in our next meeting. She ended up making our second round list after a few more of my pestering with the caveat that she would be asked in her next interview about her time on the show and any professional implications it had on her. In the first 5 minutes of her next interview, someone on the committee asked her about it in what had been clearly a very rehearsed, somewhat accusatory question. A lot of comments were wondering why the rest of the committee was so much more hung up on this little detail from her past, and in retrospect, I blame a lot of it on age and cultural differences. All other members were 15 to 20 years older than myself and seemed to think of reality TV as a very trashy genre without giving consideration to the differences between shows. We were a pretty formal office, and I can't imagine any of the people at that table with me had ever turned on MTV in their lives. A few comments pointed out that this issue seemed kind of gendered and that a male candidate probably wouldn't have faced the same scrutiny. Well, I don't know for sure how a man in the same position would have fared. All I can say that in our meetings, they were very open and fretted about a party girl, a term I don't know a similarly negative male equivalent for. That's a point. I'm the only female VP and felt some serious responsibility to discredit that phrase when the opportunity arose. It felt important to remind them that our corporate business formal office is not a bar. That just because she'd been filmed in a few clubs 10 years ago didn't mean she'd be coyote uglying it on the reception desk if we hired her. All made some choices in our 20s. She had obviously been asked to interviews before and gave a very honest and impressive answer about how she had been approached to be on the show while in college and had thought it would be fun, considered it a very unique experience, and hadn't done anything while filming she couldn't own up to now as a working professional. As position was marketing, she said that the show had sparked her interest in the field after seeing how it was promoted on her season. She didn't spend more time than necessary on it and had clearly done her homework on our company. Thoughtfully answered each question, ended up accepting an offer from us. Good for her. 7-ish months later, all I can say is thank you. She's been one of the best hires we've made in a while, and I look forward to every meeting she runs. As an added bonus, she's been very candid about the experience, and now I've learned all I could ever ask about the behind the scenes of a day of reality TV. As I said, she has a unique first name and has been recognized by clients a few times. All have been positive interactions, and I can't imagine we've lost any big deals because of her. But the best part of this hire has been definitely been how it's helped me move forward. Since she's done so well, I've had several others, all senior to me, approach me privately and acknowledge that they heard that she wouldn't have been brought back without my insistence, and they're appreciative that I stood my ground. I was so worried that I'd used any and all accrued capital on this, but if anything, it's helped me gain more capital at work and respect from some important higher ups. Thank you again. Signed, Allison. That's awesome. I love that you hired her. She get bonus. You got bonus. Win 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 win. Janie says we had a nurse who got hassled for singing in a band. It's staggering how folks cannot cope with professional people living their lives. Jeez, that's crazy. No Bid says I'm a teacher and I hate that we can't have any identity outside being a humble, down to earth, best human conceivable. I can't have social media. I can't go out with friends. I can't have hobbies. I'm glad it worked out for this individual, but the U.S. in particular has some serious room for growth in this area still. World and Might said, I had a parent wanging complain that I was at a cafe during school hours socializing on the weekend. So not during school hours. Not nobody, somebody says, we all know teachers get put away in the cupboard in their classroom at the end of the day. You must have escaped. Alert, alert. China Blind says, I'm a teacher. A teacher in my own town was fired for posting a picture on social media at the lake. She was wearing a swimsuit and her boyfriend had his hand on her back. It was apparently so shocking she had to be fired immediately. She did fight in court and win, but it took years and the backlash was so bad she had to move. That's terrible. Like, let people live their dang lives. Jeez. Everyone thinks it's Trishelle from Real World Vegas, but she did Traders last year, so not. Oh, Beauty and the Geek. Our Real World meets The Amazing Race meets My Fair Lady. Somebody suggested Beauty and the Geek. And somebody says, I know somebody who was on that show. Okay, requirement says who I was at 21 and 31 were two insanely different people. Most people grow a lot in that decade. Also, OP used such an insane 2 shows to measure the candidate that was on. The real world was far, far away from the kind of stuff you see on Jersey Shore. It makes me wonder who exactly the show was. Jersey Shore is just trash. I'm sorry. All right, last we have, I told my grandpa he looked very handsome today and asked if I could take his picture. He was thrilled. And this is what Gramps looks snappy today. Look at Grandpa. Him looking snappy. What he doing today? What is he doing today? Maybe he's going to a job interview. J-Dub says he's dashing. He is. OP says, honestly, he lit up like a kid when I told him how nice he looked. I made the picture so much better. It made the picture so much better, too. Aw. An update from OP. My whole family is losing it over this post. Grandpa is absolutely floored over this incredible reaction. Thank you for all the lovely comments. My mom is brimming over how much people love her chairs. It's my parents' house. Seriously. She's happier than ever. My sister's sending every comment to our family group chat. Thanks for making my entire family, especially Gramps, smile all day. Oh, that's nice. All right, that's all I got today. I have to go answer a few text messages I got because people insist on texting me when I'm doing this. And I don't know why. And there's that evil building again because I just stopped everything on there. All right, have a good weekend. Watch some Olympics. It'll be fun. Hopefully there won't be any more figure skating controversies. By the way, Lindsey Vonn's leg looks horrible. I saw a picture of her. Poor girl. I think I said that yesterday, though. All right, what else? That's all I got. There haven't been any really good crashes except for that. I feel bad for her because she didn't even get to compete. She did that in training. Poor kid. Actually, she's 41. She's not a kid. I mean, I could be your mommy, but she's still not a kid. So we're having company this weekend. I hope I don't feel bad. Last time I saw these people, I felt bad. I was getting really sick. And I got really, really sick after I saw them. I don't think they got sick, but I did try to stay away from them. Plus, my immune system's whacked right now. So, anyway, I will see you biddies later. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Have some fun. Bye. Bye. Love you. Bye.